So this morning we're going to do mindfulness of breathing, and if you haven't done this meditation before, we're simply following the breath really in 4 different ways. In the first 2 ways, we're following, in the first stage, we're following the out breath, just the whole of the out breath each time we breathe out, and this helps us to relax. And then if we wish, it can help to count a number at the end of each out breath, beginning with 1 and counting up to 10, and then beginning again. And then on the second stage, we're going to count just before the in-breath. So in stage 2, we're following the whole of the in-breath. And this is the sort of life-giving breath, the white light that fills us with energy. And in the third stage, we just notice the breath in the body, in the chest, particularly at the front and at the back and at the sides. Just noticing what it feels like and the movement and the rhythm. And then in the fourth stage, we move up to the area around here, wherever we breathe in. So the nostrils or the upper lip, just noticing the breath brushing the skin, very subtle, that makes us really concentrate on that. So that's the 4 stages. Yes, so I'll lead us through it, so you don't have to remember all that. Good morning to Sarah. Good to see you, Sarah. Yeah, I don't think I've got much to say, except what I always say is that we're not trying to stop our thinking. If we try and stop our thinking, that's just more thinking. So we're trying to let go. We're just trying to relax and let go and allow the mind to just do what the mind does, which is to produce thoughts all the time. And if we can just accept those thoughts with just patience and kindness, then eventually they'll settle. So that's what we're doing really. We're just noticing thoughts as they arise. We're letting them go with kindness. We're not following them. We're not trying to push them away in any way. We're just coming back to the breath and the counting every time we notice we've been distracted. And that point where we notice we've been distracted is, I think, a little bit of awakening. It's like a sudden emergence into the now, into this very moment, and it's magical. So just value that, however many times it happens. Just be joyful about that, because it's really, really precious. So good morning to Tracy and Rachel as well. Glad to have you with us. And I've got a poem that I'm going to read, which I like, which is called Can You? And it's by Julia Ferrenbacher, who seems to be one of my favourite poets at the moment. So we'll begin in the usual way, by just making sure we're comfortable to begin with. Just settling in. And we can do this, you might be lying on the bed or lying on the floor, sitting on a chair, sitting on a cushion. Just make sure you're really comfortable. Sitting up as straight as possible if you're in a chair or on a cushion. And just taking stock to begin with. Just how are you this morning? How are you feeling? Emotionally? Mentally? Are you feeling positive or negative mentally? Or maybe somewhere in between? And how are you physically? If you're like me, you'll have some achy bits from gardening, for me. Or you might be somebody who has constant pain in the body. Or you might be fine. So however you are with all those three things, not trying to change them, just accepting how you are this morning, exactly as you are. Because that's the way it is, that's the truth. And we're not trying to change that. Noticing the weight of your body pressing down on the bed or the floor or the chair, whatever you're sitting on. And just allow whatever you're sitting or lying on to take the strain. You can just let go. You can just relax. Just noticing how it feels to be you this morning. Right now, in this very moment. Noticing the wind on your face if you're out in the garden. The air on your skin if you're inside. Any sounds you can hear. The touch of your clothes against your skin. The warmth of your body. Bringing our awareness particularly to the chest, the upper chest, and just noticing the movements as we breathe in and breathe out. And on each out breath, just relaxing, just letting go. And then on the next out breath, relaxing a little bit more. We don't have anything to do. We don't have anything to consider or think about for the next 25 minutes. We can just take time out. I'm going to read the poem called Can You? Can you, for just a minute, leave the white tablecloth, the washing, the sorting, the scanning the lists, the date books, the .coms, the inbox, the goals, the resolutions, the plans, the labels, the schedule, the old stories, the scars, the scales, the bruises, the pains and the aches, the what-ifs, the should-haves, the pointing fingers, the too small boxes, the questions, the containers, the dividers, the protectors, the sickening, paralyzing expectations. Can you just for a minute hush the voices that howl madly at your old, tired little self? For a brave minute or two, can you pry open the bars and listen to the wordless, to the hum between that which births snowflakes and stars and sighs and moonlit little streams. Can you, for just a minute, sit quiet enough to hear the silent flutter of this one precious life, of this one precious breath? So this is the mindfulness of breathing. And in the first stage, we bring our attention to the out-breath, following each out-breath from the beginning to the end. And then if we wish, if it's helpful, placing a number right at the end of that out-breath, beginning with 1, and then 2, and then 3, and so on up to 10. And if we get to 10, beginning again from 1. And chances are we may not get much past 2 or 3 sometimes, and that's okay. When a thought, so just coming back patiently and kindly to the breath, the out breath, and beginning to count again from 1. Just relaxing with this practice. We're not trying to get anywhere. And each time you're distracted and you notice you've been distracted, just celebrating that moment and coming back to the breath and the counting. Not worrying about being distracted by thoughts. This is just what the mind does. Just noticing and coming back. Just dropping the counting for a moment, making sure that you're comfortable. And when you're ready, begin counting again, this time just before each in-breath. Beginning with 1 again, and then up 2, and so on up to 10. And then following it, the in-breath the whole way, right to its end. Not trying to get to 10 with the counting. It's not about that. Just simply following the breath, following the in-breath the whole way. The counting is just there to help us concentrate. Not making too much effort, just enough to keep your concentration coming back to following the in-breath. In the third stage, we're going to bring our attention to the breath in the body, particularly the upper body and the chest area. So just noticing, first of all, the movement here. The expansion of the rib cage every time we breathe in. The lungs pushing the rib cage outwards and then contracting again. You might notice this expansion and contraction, but also just pay attention to the feeling of breathing in the body. What does it feel like as your lungs fill up and empty? Can you notice that on the out breath there's a feeling of relaxation, of letting go? And if you wish, you can look for the movement of the breath in other parts of the body. The legs, the arms, the head. It's much more subtle, but the whole body is moving with the breath. And in the fourth and final stage, we bring our attention up to the point where the breath enters the body, the nostrils or the upper lip, and just bringing a complete focus to this particular area. Just really noticing the subtle sensations of the breath entering the body and leaving the body, brushing the nostrils or the upper lip as it goes. You might notice the temperature of the breath as it comes into the body and as it leaves. Is it different? And what's the texture of the breath like? Is it silky smooth or a bit coarse? Doesn't matter, just interesting to notice what the texture of the breath is like. And just noticing the length of each breath from beginning to end, without thinking about it, just observing. And for the last 2 minutes of this practice, just letting go of all effort and just sitting with your experience, whatever it is, not getting caught up in it, not pushing it away, just sitting, observing whatever's happening in the present moment. In a moment, I'm going to ring the bell to bring the meditation to an end. And when I do, as always, just taking your time to open your eyes and move your body.